Every touch is a conversation. Your response is the message. That simple truth, when fully understood, can change the entire way a man shows up in a woman's presence. A hug may seem like a small gesture, brief, casual, maybe even expected, but beneath its surface lies an opportunity to speak volumes without saying a single word. A hug is never just a hug. It's a moment of exchange, a reflection of your awareness, your respect, your presence, and your intent. And the way you respond to it can either deepen her trust or make her feel misunderstood. When a woman chooses to embrace you, what she's offering is not only a physical closeness, but an emotional moment. Sometimes it's a thank you. Sometimes it's a search for reassurance. Sometimes it's comfort, sometimes excitement. Your first responsibility isn't to act, it's to discern, to sense what she's offering beyond the motion itself. Just like in meaningful conversations, the person who listens best leaves the greatest impact. So it is with touch, your body language, your breath, your posture. All of it is speaking back to her, whether you realize it or not. And that's why it's so critical to slow your response downs. Too often, people think they need to do something impressive when they receive affection. But the most powerful response is often found in calm, steady presence. When a woman hugs you and you stand there with a quiet strength, not stiff, not passive, but grounded and gentle, it tells her, I'm not here to rush this. I'm not trying to take from you. I'm fully here and I see you. That kind of response leaves an imprint because most women, whether they talk about it or not, are sensitive to energy. They feel the difference between someone who's fully present and someone who's trying to get to the next step. You might think you're hiding your motives, but a hug will often reveal them. If your first instinct is to pull her tighter, lift her, shift into flirtation, or make a comment, you may be communicating more about your hunger than your respect. But if you simply receive the moment with open, intentional calm, holding her just enough, not too tight, not too loose, she feels safe, honored, and understood. The deeper truth is the hug is not about you. It's a shared moment, but it begins with her expression. And when you let yourself truly receive it without needing to change it, you create an emotional space that she will remember. That space says you can come close and be fully received without pressure, without expectation. And that's rare. What often gets overlooked is that this moment is your chance to show the kind of man you are without trying to impress. When a woman sees that you're not rushing, that you're attuned, that your energy is peaceful rather than performative, she instinctively relaxes in your presence. And that relaxation leads to trust. Trust leads to emotional bonding, and emotional bonding, that's what makes someone remember you, not for your charm, not for your physique, not for your words, but for the way you made them feel when they let you close. It's in the little things. The way your hands gently land, not gripping, not wandering, the way your breath stays slow and calm, the way you hold space, not prolonging the moment, but not ending it too soon either. Letting it be what it is. That restraint isn't weak, it's strong. And it speaks to your control, your maturity, and your respect. When you treat every touch like a sacred conversation, you won't need to overthink your next move because your mindset will be rooted in service, not selfishness, in presence, not performance. You'll begin to see every hug not as a prize to earn or a gateway to more, but as an opportunity to prove that you are safe, steady, and sincere. And that is exactly why she will remember you. Not just for what you did in that moment, but for the way you understood what that moment meant. Stillness leaves an impression louder than words. In a world constantly pushing us to move faster, speak louder, and act bolder, there is something deeply memorable about a man who chooses to pause, especially in moments of intimacy. When a woman hugs you, what she remembers most may not be your strength, your scent, or even the length of the hug. It might be the way time seemed to slow down when you didn't rush it. When you were simply there, present, calm, unshaken, that kind of stillness speaks to the very core of a woman's emotional intelligence, even when she can't explain why she's thinking about you hours or even days later. You see, we're conditioned to think that doing more creates impact, that the more we say, the more we touch, the more we show, the more impressive we become. But when you want to stay on someone's mind, especially a woman with depth and intuition, your ability to be composed in the face of closeness is what sets you apart. Because it communicates something rare. It says, I am not controlled by the moment. I am present in it. There is a difference between being emotionally available and emotionally reactive. Stillness belongs to the former. In the moment of a hug, there's an unspoken rhythm. When you're grounded, you can sense whether she's leaning in emotionally, whether she's vulnerable, whether she's holding something back. And instead of trying to force a response or reciprocate with performance, your restraint allows her to feel the full safety of the moment. A steady breath, a gentle hand, a silence that doesn't feel awkward but feels peaceful. That is what resonates on a deeper level. When you don't rush to speak, touch more, or escalate, your silence becomes a container for her emotion to unfold. And that level of patience and awareness is powerful. It makes her feel like she has space to be herself without the pressure of what comes next. That is where emotional attraction begins, not in lust, but in trust. And make no mistake, trust is built in quiet moments. It's built in the pauses between words and the gaps between movements. It's in those very pauses that a woman assesses whether she's safe to open her heart further. And the man who knows how to be still, who knows how to let a moment breathe, is the man who proves, without speaking, that he is emotionally mature. Stillness is not passivity. It's not being cold or detached. It's a deep internal confidence that doesn't need to perform. It doesn't chase validation or seek control. It allows presence to speak on its behalf. When a woman hugs a man like that, she feels something different, not just physical contact, but spiritual calm. The kind of calm that lingers in the back of her mind after she walks away, leaving her wondering why that hug felt different, why it felt more like peace than performance. The truth is, anyone can mimic charm, anyone can be loud, flirtatious, or smooth, but it's the man who can do less while still making her feel more that becomes unforgettable. Because stillness isn't just about what you're doing, it's about what you're not doing. You're not rushing, you're not groping, you're not trying to impress. You're simply being. And in a world where so few people know how to be still, that stands out. So when you receive a hug, instead of asking what to do, ask yourself how to be. Can you be calm? Can you be steady? Can you offer your presence as a gift, not a strategy? Can you allow her to feel seen without being overwhelmed? When you master that kind of presence, you won't need to worry about being remembered. You already will be. Because while others were trying to be loud enough to echo in her mind, you were silent enough to settle in her heart. Connection isn't created by force. It's recognized through awareness. This truth becomes especially powerful in moments of physical closeness, like a hug. When a woman offers you that embrace, what she's truly offering is access, not just to her body, but to her presence, her softness, her emotional landscape. And what determines the quality of that connection isn't how strongly you respond or how confident you act. It's how deeply you notice. How will you read the room of her body language, her breath, her silence? The real art of human connection lies in how attuned you are, not how assertive. Too many people confuse assertiveness with leadership, but in the space of emotional intimacy, especially between a man and a woman, leadership often looks like awareness. It looks like being able to feel her energy and not assume. It means observing before reacting. If she initiates a hug with hesitation, do you notice? If she leans in a little longer, do you respond with patience, or do you take that as an opportunity to intensify your presence? These subtle details, these micro moments, are where trust is either built or broken. The man who connects best is not the one who takes control of every moment, but the one who listens with his body. There's a sacredness to touch when it's received mindfully. When you meet her where she is, instead of where you want her to be, you communicate one thing clearly. I see you. And for many women, that is the foundation of attraction. Not being touched quickly, but being understood deeply. And in that moment of a hug, when you don't rush to define or redirect the moment, when you let her emotion lead and allow her to relax into your calm presence, that's when something real happens. Because connection, at its core, is not an action, it's a response. It's how your energy meets hers. A man who understands this begins to realize that being memorable is not about performance. It's about alignment. And alignment only happens when you're paying attention. When your presence says, I'm not trying to impress you, I'm trying to understand you. That kind of response builds comfort. And comfort builds connection. When a woman feels that you are mirroring her pace, honoring her space, and tuning into her signals, she automatically begins to associate you with safety. And nothing creates a stronger emotional imprint than the feeling of being safe while still being emotionally stirred. When people talk about chemistry, they often imagine sparks and tension, but deeper connection feels like peace. It feels like recognition. It's that sense that you didn't have to try hard because something in her felt met. That's the power of awareness. You're not grasping at her energy. You're matching it. You're respecting it. And by doing that, you tell her something profounding that you can feel her without needing to own her. The beauty of this approach is that it transcends technique. You don't need a playbook for how long to hug, where to place your hand, what to say afterward. All of that flows naturally when you're grounded and tuned in. You'll sense when to let go. You'll know when to linger a second longer. You'll intuit when silence is better than words. Because your response is coming from presence, not pretense. And that's what women remember. Not just what you did, but how aware you were while doing it. That level of awareness doesn't come from charm or confidence alone. It comes from slowing down, from breathing, from genuinely caring about how the other person feels in your presence. When you prioritize that your interactions move from transactional to transformational, that hug becomes more than a moment. It becomes a mirror that reflects your emotional intelligence. So if you want to connect deeply and stay in her mind, remember this: don't try to create the connection. Recognize it. Let it unfold. There's nothing louder than the presence of someone who's quiet enough to truly notice. Lasting memory is tied to emotional safety. You might think that a woman remembers your presence because of how attractive you were, how strong your hug felt, or how smooth your words sounded. But in truth, the human heart doesn't hold onto what was loud or flashy. It holds onto what made it feel safe. When a woman hugs you and walks away feeling emotionally secure in your presence, that's what echoes in her thoughts. That's what pulls her back to the memory. That's what makes you linger in her mind long after the moment has passed. Safety, in this context, doesn't just mean protection from harm. It means emotional ease. It means she didn't feel the need to guard herself or second guess her openness. It means she felt free to be feminine, soft, expressive, or quiet without pressure. That's not something that happens automatically in a hug. It happens through your energy. It happens in how you hold space for her, not just physically, but emotionally. Did you rush it? Did you grip her too tightly? Did you let the silence turn into tension? Or did you give her a calm, steady moment where she could simply exist in your arms without needing to anticipate what came next? What many men overlook is that physical touch, when shared with presence and restraint, is one of the most powerful ways to communicate trustworthiness. When you hug a woman and do less, when you keep your hands still and respectful, when you allow the moment to be what it is without moving too quickly into something more, you're telling her, you are safe with me. That message is more impactful than any compliment because it bypasses her logic and goes straight into her emotional memory. That kind of safety isn't created through perfection. It's created through intention. You don't have to say all the right things or read her mind. You simply need to be grounded enough in yourself that she doesn't feel like she has to manage your emotions while experiencing her own. When a man is emotionally secure, he doesn't place pressure on the moment. He doesn't hug with an agenda. He hugs with sincerity, with calm, with clarity. That's where trust begins, not with words, but with the subtle peace she feels while close to you. And here's the truth about memory: people don't remember exact words or actions as clearly as they remember how someone made them feel. If she felt rushed, objectified, or confused, that stays with her even if she can't name it. But if she felt grounded, respected, and understood, if her nervous system relaxed in your presence, then you've made an impact that goes beyond attraction. You've become someone she feels safe remembering. This kind of emotional safety also leads to something else: on openness. When a woman feels safe, she opens her energy. Her smile softens, her voice steadies, her heart becomes more available. And when she experiences that version of herself around you, she's not just remembering you. She's remembering how she felt being herself in your presence. That's what truly becomes addictive. That's what brings you back to her thoughts. You're not just a man who hugged her, you're a man who gave her a moment of emotional freedom. The irony is, so many chase attention by being louder, bolder, or more flirtatious, but emotional impact lives in the opposite direction. It lives in stillness, awareness, and gentleness, in how well you can make her feel seen without making her feel watched, in how well you can bring warmth without bringing weight. The safety you provide in that short moment of physical connection becomes the doorway to something deeper. Not just attraction, but emotional memory. So the next time a woman leans in to hug you, don't think of it as a step towards something else. Think of it as the whole moment. Be present in it. Let her feel that you're not rushing, that you're overstepping, that you're not distracted. Let her feel that her energy is safe in your hands, even if it's just for a few seconds. Because when you make her feel emotionally safe, you give her something far more valuable than attention. You give her a sense of calm in a world full of noise. And that's what she'll never forget.